We are going to change topics. We're going to do the Nolles clip first because, I was so impressed by this, and I want to send him this segment as a way to kiss his ass, and maybe he'll come on with us. So let's do the Nolles clip.
At least you're being honest.
At least
Rob, you gave him a D- with Charlie Kirk. We have to do something to better our image with him.
For whatever reason you want to ascribe to him, whether it was being his friend or whatever, he sucked during that.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are curious what we're talking about, Rob and I did a breakdown of Michael Knowles and Charlie Kirk. I was a little more forgiving of Michael because I think it's just his personality type and maybe his temperament.
I still haven't seen the whole clip, in all honesty, the debate between the two.
Rob, you weren't too bad on him though, actually.
No, I wasn't.
Like, no, I get it. We both agreed that Michael not saying things in some cases just let Charlie make an idiot of himself. So if you guys haven't seen that, that was a good show we did. All right, so let's bring the Nolles clip up. Okay, so this is on Piers Morgan. They're debating Pete Hegseth's tattoo.
Oh,
very interesting.
That's what should be on TV.
Well, watch where it goes. It's very interesting.
And as for the cross that you talked about, yes, Deus Vult, which is the cross that he has, and the slogan that he.
Okay, wow, that started off retarded right away, didn't it? That's not even the name of the cross that he has on. Oh,
no, he has the Jerusalem cross, but he does have Deus Vult,
right? But still,
no. She thought the cross. Yeah. He has a Jerusalem cross, which Rob also has because Rob is what is that? A neo-Nazi cross, Rob? Is that what that is?
Thanks, Ant.
We really know that the Nazis were huge Catholics. Apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, they only had at least one encyclical directed directly at them.
They only rounded up hundreds of priests and murdered them, but whatever.
Customarily, when you visit the Holy Land, you get a tattoo of the Jerusalem cross. That is generally the custom, but a lot of people do get them that don't go to the Holy Land. But like generally, that is one of the traditions that you do. There's a guy there that's been making that tattoo.
The Razook family's been doing it since 1300.
That honestly is pretty epic. Not gonna lie, I'm not even.
You know why they do it?
That's pretty epic.
It's a Coptic tradition, both Coptic Orthodox and Coptic Catholic. They had to tattoo themselves with that on their wrists to get into church.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's how they would know that they were Christian and not Mohammedan.
Yeah, and listen, with this ceasefire, right? Maybe there's a possibility we could all visit the Holy Land one day because I would love to go to visit the Holy Land and see the places Christ walked. But all right, let's do the clip because watch where this goes.
He has.
Deus Vult is
an old Christian cross. The part.
Okay, so he answered that right away.
Right off the bat.
The phrase, however, was uttered by Crusaders as they were slaughtering Jews and Muslims during the Second Crusade specifically. So it's not just a random cross. It's not just a random phrase.
That isn't true. The phrase that isn't true.
It
is true. The phrase was uttered after the Council of Clermont when Pope Urban II declared the Crusade. And it was actually probably Deus Vult, but it's been rendered in Latin as Deus Vult. It has nothing to do with slaughtering Jews. It has nothing to do with slaughtering Muslims because the Muslims had invaded Europe, not the other way around.
Oh my God! Are you really saying that the reason the Crusade, which was sent to the Holy Land to liberate the Holy Land, from whom? From Jews and Muslims.
Yes,
that is a phrase.
There are enemies.
Does she not know what liberate means? Why would you have to liberate something?
She's a perfect example of the cancer that is leftism, where they will promote these false, wicked religions, and they will hold this double standard against Europeans.
But the Holy Land, look,
it's our Holy Land.
For anybody that gives you this line where the Catholics went in to exterminate Muslims and Jews, the Holy Land, after the temple is destroyed in 70 AD, the Jews are dispersed throughout the world. The Holy Land is no longer theirs. It is only the Holy Land because we consider it the Holy Land because it is where God himself walked. This is Christian land from the 1st century onward, maybe the 2nd century onward. Like as Christianity spreads, by the 2nd century, I mean, we went over and we did when Mount Vesuvius blows and you have Pompeii gets destroyed, you already have Christians in Pompeii. In 79 AD, the Holy Land from the 2nd century on is Christian. Damascus, is like the first Christians there. So when when the Crusades happen, it's because Muslims are invading Christian lands, and the Pope calls a crusade to ward off these Muslim hordes. It's not like the Muslims held this territory and we just went to go. No, they came in and slaughtered Christians, and we had a war to fight them off.
Exactly. They came and slaughtered Christians. I mean, this is the thing. She's clearly never read anything about the history of the Crusades, and she's never had anybody actually challenge her. Notice the way that she reacted whenever he just starts to bring up the reality of
she
the Crusades.
Blasphemed right away.
And she does again. So everybody forgive that. Hey, Matt, we're going to read your super chat. Just leave it in there, and we will get to it. Don't disappear. I want to finish this clip, and then we'll go back, and if you guys do throw a super chat up, we will go back to it, and we will get to it.
Okay, we ready to continue?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why the Crusade began because the Eastern Emperor asked for help from the Western Pope because the Seljuk Turks were slaughtering Christians in the Holy Land, because those lands were Christian before the Muslims invaded in the 7th century. So that's why.
No.
Yeah,
Those
good
Crusades,
to know Michael's pro-Crusade. He'll get along really well with Pete Hegseth.
Those lands became Christian after the First Crusade. Okay, so let's be very
the
clear.
lands were Christian in the first and second centuries.
Do you see how smug she is? Those lands became Christian after the First Crusade.
Because
you are a woman, she can't help it.
But you're just so historically illiterate.
She's never had anybody challenge her. That's the problem. Marxist, communist colleges brainwash people. Leftism is
to be that historically illiterate and spew things like them. I don't know, man. I guess you do get caught in arguments sometimes, and you have to kind of like pretend you know what you're talking about. But
I wouldn't even give her that. I wouldn't even give her that. I just straight up think that she literally believes this crap, and she's in her superiority complex. I legit believe that.
All right, let's finish this out, because watch where this goes.
Jim Russell, are you going to defend that woman if I call her a retarded broad, or will you not defend her? I just want to know the rules here,
Rob. You are so much worse than me.
I know.
You are like so much worse than me.
It just builds up. It just builds up, and then I can't.
Everybody thinks I'm the bad one. I'm not the bad one.
Oh man. Okay, here we go.
Islam didn't exist before the 7th century. What are you talking about?
Okay, I can listen. I can go all day if you want to talk about the Crusades.
No, you
but
can't.
the point is, I can also show you literature where people. But what that has to do with Pete Hegseth is it's not that he has a random cross that talks about his faith in Jesus Christ. He used a very specific terminology. But putting all of that
was
aside,
first uttered to defend persecuted Christians in the Middle East, just like they're being persecuted today.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about the
Crusades, that's who you want as the Secretary of Defense. Wonderful.
Someone who defends the persecuted.
Julie, finish your point.
Crusades,
Julie, finish your point, and I'll go to Michael. To Dave.
My point is that I cannot even believe that something the Vatican apologized for is something that you're defending, which is the slaughter of Jews and Muslims during the Crusades.
What did the Vatican
excuse me, the Vatican said the Crusades. Oh my Jesus! You know what? Why don't you give me a call after this, and I will walk you through exactly.
All right, let's try and bring things back. All right, the
treatment of Muslims in the Crusades. But if you want to talk about,
women cannot get into debates with smart, intelligent men.
I do want to say bravo to Michael Knowles.
He was good.
Salute to you, sir. If you ever watched it,
phenomenal there. Like, just completely. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, just the way he handled her smugness was perfect. Just like, what are you even? There weren't the Muslims. They think Islam is as old as Christianity. They don't realize that Muhammad pops up in this. Rob, what was Tom Holland's book about the origins of Islam? He did a documentary I watched. I didn't read the book. Under the Sword, something like that. But he goes into the origins of Islam, and you don't actually know what the origins of Islam are. Like, nobody knows where Mecca really is. Like, it just starts off as a bunch of stories, and there's no possible way. Yeah. I think he did a great job. But the origins
of the sword.
In the shadow of the sword. The origins of Islam are so shady that if you go back and research them, there's just like even the Quran is a a bunch of jumbled Eastern Christian stories that they threw into the Quran. And it started off as a Christian heresy, as Nestorian heresy, essentially.
Yeah. No, it's an amalgamation of different thoughts, different faiths, different philosophies, all jumbled up together because Muhammad was illiterate, and being in a Bedouin tradition, that's how they put it together. You're right, Tina. Islam is pure evil. It has launched numerous wars. Muhammad launched like 87 wars in his lifetime, many of them being raids. He slaughtered over 500. He himself beheaded over 500 people in one day.
Raped his 9-year-old niece.
Yeah, I was about to say, of course, his let's just say his sins against the 6th and 9th commandments are well known, especially when you go and you read Al-Hadith, where the Hadith talks about all kinds of wicked it basically makes heaven into a brothel. The fact that this leftist woman, who I'm sure believes that the Quran is a book of peace, defends this nonsense is laughable.